Now, it's time to meet the players of college sports today, presented by the Allen Law Firm, and get this show started. He's a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, a first-round NFL draft choice, and a member of the College Football Hall of Fame as both a player and coach. He is the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier. He's a rare two-time SEC Player of the Year and spent over a decade in the NFL. Ladies and gentlemen, Shane Matthews. And presenting the host of the show, with over 25 years of sports broadcasting experience, Terry Norvelle. Coming to you from the Future Home Loan Studio inside Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, it's time for College Sports Today with Spurrier, Matthews, and Norvelle. Presented by the Allen Law Firm.
Wow, it just every weekend just seems to get better and better when it comes to games that will kick off. Week 5 college football is upon us. Hi, everybody. Terry Norvelle, the head ball coach, of course, is here. We'll be joined in a few minutes by Shane Matthews via the telephone for our Safe Harbor Seafood picks of the weekend, and they're going to be difficult. We want to thank Allen Law Firm, our title sponsor, and, of course, we're inside the Coach's Podcast Room inside Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We call it the Future Home Loans Studio. Coach, tough week of games. We're going to pick some games here in a little bit. We'll look ahead, but Florida, Kentucky. Gators have had tough times there, but they get out with wins a lot, including 93. Special game, Florida at Kentucky. The Doring has a touchdown. Talk about that play, one of the iconic Florida-Kentucky plays of all time in the series.
Yeah, Terry, when I guess we go back up there to Commonwealth Stadium, it's called something else now.
Kroger sponsors it now,
Mr.
yes.
Kroger
Yeah,
said, I'll pitch in some money.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But anyway, the 93 game, looking back, we ended up winning the SEC that year. If we don't win that one, we don't win the SEC, and that was the start of the 4 in a row. So, be thankful how that one turned out. That was a game that we threw 7 interceptions.
Isn't that amazing?
Terry Dean threw 4 of them, and Danny came in there and threw 3 more. And we got the ball back. Our defense really played well. So we threw an interception, and I think they got it down around the 10-yard line and kicked a field goal, fortunately. And we had about a minute and 20 seconds. We had enough time if we could hit.
Right.
And I think the first play of the drive, we hit Jack Jackson on a little under route. And
Okay.
He turned it up for about 20 or 30 yards, something like that.
So you're cooking now.
And,
You got something going then.
Yeah, we're down. We get down to about the 30, and we had a timeout. And Kentucky was playing that soft cover 2 defense. And I remember telling Danny, go back and sort of look down the middle, and maybe we can get Jack Jackson down the sideline, down in that corner of the end zone over there. So sure enough, they played that soft cover 2. So he went back and looked down the middle, and there was Chris Doring running scot-free.
Yeah.
And so he hit Doring, and I don't think the 2 safeties were within 10 yards of him when he caught it, maybe 5 yards.
Right.
So, that was a big one. So we won that one 24-20.
Yeah.
Beat Tennessee next week and got on a good roll there in 93 and ended up winning the SEC. Terry Dean came back at the end, and he had actually an injury. People forget. He tore some cartilage in his knee against FSU, the last game of the season. So he was the MVP of the SEC championship game.
Yes.
We beat Alabama in Birmingham.
In the rematch.
One of their home fields.
Yeah, the second
And,
time it was played there.
Yeah, it was played
And
there
then it got
first
moved.
2.
After that year,
Yeah.
it got moved to the Georgia Dome, right?
Correct. So Terry was the MVP there and had a super game also in the Sugar Bowl. We won our first ever Sugar Bowl in 93.
Yeah.
I think Willie Jackson caught like 9, 11 passes in both those games. And our defense,
West Virginia?
Yeah, our
West
defense
Virginia.
played obviously extremely well in that West Virginia game. So anyway, that catch at Kentucky was a big one.
Well, Coach, for some of the younger college fans and younger Gator fans, they may have just been floored. Yes, you said it correctly. Your quarterbacks threw a combined 7 interceptions in that game. Dean threw 4, Warfel threw 3. Coach, you don't get that many possessions, and you gave away 7. I'm sure you punted a few times. Wow, just hung in there. But again, your defense kept Kentucky from running away.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Even though 7 interceptions, I don't think any of them were like a pick six
Gotcha.
or a fumble, a guy
Gotcha.
ran for a touchdown.
Gotcha.
You know, if you throw the ball 25, 30 yards downfield and it
Sure.
bounces around,
Punt.
almost like a punt.
Punt, sure.
So those crucial turnovers is what can kill you. So we didn't have a real crucial one, but we struggled, but we got a lot better after that game, obviously, as we went on to win the SEC that year.
Absolutely. Now, we'll get into some games. Obviously, tomorrow is a wonderful slate. We'll talk a little bit about Miami's loss last night before we get Shane, take a break and get Shane on. Staying with the 93, though, 7 interceptions. Warfel gets in, finishes the game with the pass to Doring. Big win, huge SEC win on the road. The next week, you have to play a really good Tennessee team, if I remember right, back in 93. Tennessee rolls in, and Danny Warfel, you hand him his first start.
That was
The Southern Super Bowl, the huge game with Keith Jackson and the boys. Warfel has his first start, right? 1 week later, 7 days later, you turned him loose.
Yeah, I think Heath Schuler was a Tennessee quarterback back in 93.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Danny's first one. I think he threw 4 or 5 touchdowns, something like that. And we held on to beat them, 41-34.
Great game.
I think
Shootout.
It was, something like
Shootout.
that. So, yeah, that was a good one. I think we had to make a first down at the end of the game to put it away. But anyway, that was, Danny's first start of many, and he was outstanding as usual.
Really was. Coach, real quick before we take a break, get Shane on, and we'll get to our picks. We'll break down the big games, including Florida, Kentucky, but tons of games. You know it's a really good weekend in college football and the SEC when Auburn at LSU is the 4th best game in the SEC. That means it's a hell of a weekend. Auburn at LSU. Did you get a chance? I know you probably did like me. I was flipping around between the Jaguars NFL game and Miami. The Hurricanes were on last night. Heartbreaking loss for Miami. They thought they were in position for a chip shot field goal, hits the upright. They lose by 2. The Canes now 2-3. Tough loss. A little snake bit loss, I think, last night.
Yeah, that is a tough loss when it hits the goalpost and comes back at you.
Yeah, 32-yarder or whatever, 33-yarders. Very makeable.
Yeah, that happens sometimes, but it's almost like we're feeling sorry for FSU and Miami. You know, they're really struggling. Paul Azinger, of course, announced the Ryder Cup, and when Koepka and Berger, both guys went to FSU, played on the golf team there, they won their match. He said, I think this is the first win for FSU in a long time.
Yeah.
So, the Seminoles need to get a victory. And
FSU, by the way, not to interrupt, one of 7 winless teams. There's only 7 out there, and FSU's one of them, 0-4.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, I sort of hope they can get some wins here. Yeah. They need to be more competitive and so forth.
Yeah, so Miami really scuffling also, 2-3. De'Aaron King did not play. Van Dyke, the guy that played last week and this week, looks pretty good. You'd kind of like to say, well, do you just try to give Van Dyke a lot of playing time? But Manny Diaz needs wins. If De'Aaron King is healthy, you wonder where that's going to go. De'Aaron King's a 24-year-old guy. It's been around 6 years. He's not the future of the program, so Miami's got some soul searching to do. Real quick, Coach, great games coming up on paper this weekend. Again, how about Auburn at LSU is the 4th? If you rank them on paper, the 4th best game in the SEC, and of course, Georgia, Arkansas. You've got Ole Miss, Alabama. You've got Florida, Kentucky. Then Auburn and LSU. Hell of a week looking on paper.
Yeah, the Arkansas-Georgia game, obviously that's the first one I'm looking forward to watching. And, of course, Ole Miss and Bama. And then us in Kentucky, I think at 6 o'clock.
6, yeah.
And then Mississippi State, Texas A&M.
Yeah.
I'm pulling for the Mississippi State Bulldogs there. So that's
games.
a big game for
and then a bunch of national
both
games.
schools.
Then a bunch of national games.
LSU Auburn, I don't even know I'll watch much of that one.
9 o'clock.
That's
a 9 o'clocker there.
That's a late one, and whoever wins, wins. And whoever loses, loses.
It's just amazing that Auburn at LSU. By the way, Auburn has not won in Baton Rouge since 1999. Hard to believe. 1999. Evan, let's take a quick break. I think we've got Shane lined up. We'll get Shane on our Safe Harbor Seafood picks of the weekend are coming up on the other side. You don't want to miss those. We'll break the games down, give you who we think are going to win the games. That and a whole lot more. College Sports Today on a Friday continues after this timeout.
Ever heard the saying, all politics are local? I believe the same goes for lawyers. To me, it doesn't matter how many lawyers any firm has spread across the country. What matters is who's the lawyer right here, right now. I'm Bill Allen. I've spent my whole career fighting big insurance companies for my friends and neighbors right here in North Central Florida. If you've been hurt and don't know who to trust, I would be honored to help you and your family against any opponent, anytime, anywhere. Call me 24/7.
The good vibes. What? All the good vibes we've had, we'll have again. All the good vibes we've had, we'll have again. All the good vibes we've had, we'll have again. All the good vibes we've had, we'll have again.
Taste the islands and every drop of Vida de Luis tequila. 100% blue agave from Tequila, Mexico. Good vibes.
All the good vibes we've had, we'll have again. All the good vibes we've had, we'll have again.
It's time to thank the sponsors that make college sports today with Spurrier, Matthews, and Norvelle possible. Vida de Luis Tequila, the official tequila of college sports today. Make sure you ask for Vida de Luis Tequila by name in your favorite bars and restaurants throughout the state of Florida. And of course, with your next margarita inside Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Safe Harbor Seafood Mayport, Safe Harbor Seafood Crescent Beach, and Sliders Oyster Bar Neptune Beach. The official seafood restaurants of college sports today with Spurrier, Matthews, and Norvelle can be found up and down the Northeast Florida coast. Safe Harbor Seafood Mayport, Safe Harbor Seafood Crescent Beach, and Sliders Oyster Bar Neptune Beach. The proud seafood sponsors of college sports today with Spurrier, Matthews, and Norvelle. J.B. Coxwell Contracting, established in 1983 and offering complete site development. Go with the company generally considered the most well-respected heavy civil construction firm in Northeast Florida. Go with J.B. Coxwell Construction. For advertising information to get your business on college sports today with Spurrier, Matthews, and Norvelle, simply shoot me an email, tnsportsjacks@yahoo.com. Again, shoot me, Terry Norvelle, an email, and I'll get back with you. That email address again, tnsportsjacks@yahoo.com.
Time to talk about some games coming up tomorrow and make some picks. It is the Safe Harbor Seafood Picks of the Week. I want to thank Allen Law Firm, Gainesville office and Ocala office. Easiest way to reach Allen Law Firm if you or someone you know has been injured or in an accident. Pick up your phone, dial pound, yes, that'll get you right through to Allen Law Firm, or check out their website, allenlaw.com. That is ALLEN. Thanks to Future Home Loans. We're in the Future Home Loans studios inside Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. You saw all of our wonderful sponsors, including Vida de Luis. You get that great tequila here at Spurrier's and all over the state of Florida. Order that Coco Loco. You'll be glad you did. Thank you to all of these sponsors that make our show happen. Safe Harbor Seafood, the 2 locations. Sliders closed for about 6 weeks. Totally renovating. It'll be open in November. I'll keep you posted. Thanks to J.B. Coxwell Contracting and all the people that make this show happen. Coach, ready to, got Shane on the line, ready to do some picks?
Yeah, we might as well pick them. Got to do it sometime.
Let's go ahead and get, got Shane on the line there. Shaner, let me go over the scores. Last week, Shane turned in a 7-5. Coach, you and I had a little bit better. We both went 8-4 last week. Shane, you still got 32, leading with 32 correct on the year. I'm right behind at 30, and Coach, you're right behind at 29. So we're bunched up right there after Shane, a little 7-5, but you're holding on, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Coach and
I were talking during the break. We talked a little bit about the Miami Hurricanes real quick, Shane. I heard your radio show and podcast this morning, Pot Up with Matthews in the morning. You were guesstimating 10 to 15,000. I think that was about right to the naked eye of the Miami crowd. Was that what you're thinking?
Yeah, that's what it looked like. I didn't watch a lot of it, but that's what it was like the first half, because they did a ceremony for Howard Schnellenberger.
Yeah.
I think they put him in like the Ring of Honor or something along those lines at halftime. The second half, there wasn't 5,000 people in that stadium.
Yeah, it was tough. Tough loss for the Hurricanes. I thought Virginia was better last night. They dropped a bunch of passes, but to Miami's credit, they made a run at them, and they got about 32-yard field goal. That's pretty makeable in college, and the guy hit the upright. 2-3 for the Canes. Guys, we're going to get started a game tonight. Big Ten game, real good game tonight. You've got undefeated Iowa, 4-0 in the Big Ten West. They are at undefeated Maryland. We'll flash the games for everybody to look at. Maryland 4-0, also 1-0. They're in the East. So the winner tonight is really off and running in their respective division. Shane, I'll let you go first if you want here as you're the leader. Maryland, Mike Locksley, Tua's brother, the quarterback. Iowa comes in with a lot of defense. Tough game right out of the gate. 8 o'clock tonight on FS1.
Well, I mean, as you said, when's the last time Iowa was ranked in the top 5 in America? I'm going to go with the upset. I think Maryland at home. It seems like there's always an upset in the Big Ten on these Friday night games, and I think this is a good spot for the Terrapins.
I'll jump in and go Maryland as well. I know Iowa plays tough defense, Coach Spurrier. Locksley at home.
This could be one of the biggest crowds for Maryland in a long time. They hadn't done much to deserve a big crowd.
Yeah.
So here they are, 4-0, and maybe the crowd and all that will inspire the Terrapins to get a victory over Iowa. So I'll make it unanimous.
Wow, we're going to go unanimous as Coach goes with Maryland as well. Should be a pretty good game. I just don't know if Iowa has enough offense. They play rugged, tough defense, but I don't know if they can score enough. That's a game tonight. Don't forget, that's a good game at 8 o'clock tonight, FS1, right out of the Big Ten. Next game up is Baylor at Oklahoma State. Now, there's only 3 teams undefeated in the Big 12. Baylor, Oklahoma State, both undefeated, and Oklahoma somehow. Baylor at Oklahoma State. Coach, I'll let you lead this one off. This is a 7 p.m. game tomorrow on ESPN2.
Yeah, I like that coach at Baylor. What's his
Aranda?
name? Yeah, Aranda. He was at LSU when they went undefeated, a couple years ago.
Right.
And he's doing a good job there at Baylor. So I'll take them against Okie State.
Coach takes Baylor. This looks like a good game on paper. I'm going to take Gundy and the boys. I'll take Oklahoma State at home, Shane, and we'll throw it to you. Baylor and Oak State, both 4-0, both undefeated in conference play.
I like the home team here. Okie State was good to us in 1990. They didn't play us very well. We put it on them, so I'm going to take Okie State to win at home.
That should be a good game, though. Those first 2 games are real competitive. I mean, no losses, right? Those first 2 games we just picked, nobody's lost a game yet. We go to the ACC for our next pick here, the Safe Harbor Seafood picks of the week. Undefeated Boston College. They're on their backup quarterback. The kid from Notre Dame is out. But Boston College, they physically whooped up on Missouri. The game went overtime last week. But Boston College travels at Clemson. I'll make this pick first because I want to keep it, in order. Clemson 2-2. Speaking of no offense, Boston College, that's a 7:30 game, ACC network. Man, I am close to picking BC, but I'm going to go with Clemson pulling one out. And boy, do they need one, Coach Spurrier.
I tell you what, you got to give BC credit. They have played very well
really have.
Lately.
Physical.
And they got some momentum. Clemson's trying to dig out of a hole. And now whether or not they can dig out, I guess time will tell. I tell you what, I'm behind, so I'm going to go with Boston College.
Coach goes BC. Shane Matthews, Heffley's done a nice job at BC by way of, I think, Ohio State. So he's knocked heads with Clemson before. Boy, this is a tough pick right now. Clemson's really reeling on offense.
Yeah, they are. You got to think, Dabo, they're going to rally the troops somehow, try to get this thing turned around. I'm going to lean, I think Clemson wins a very, very close football game.
So 2 Clemsons, and Coach Spurrier goes with BC. We stay in the ACC. Syracuse, 3-1, a little bit of a surprise. They beat, earlier this year, like 2 weeks ago, Syracuse beat Liberty. Malik Willis, Hugh Freeze, that Liberty. Syracuse, they have beaten Liberty. They are at Florida State. Shane, we'll throw it back to you to lead this one off. Florida State, we all know, 0-4, 0-2 in conference play. That is a 3:30 game tomorrow on the ACC network. Syracuse, 3-1 at winless Florida State. Shane Matthews.
I watched a little bit of that Liberty game, and I was impressed with Syracuse. I thought they played really good defense. I just can't pick Florida State to win a game after what I've seen, so I'm going to lean towards the orange.
So we'll put down Syracuse for Shane. Coach, I'm going to jump in. I think Florida State wins tomorrow. I think they get their first win of the year at home. I don't know how much crowd. Give me FSU, Coach Spurrier. What say you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Syracuse. I just don't know the mental side of the FSU team. Players, coaches, maybe they can regroup. But Syracuse got a good team this year. What are they, 3-1?
Yeah, 3-1.
Well, so they at least know how to win. I'm going to go with Syracuse.
So you two take Syracuse. I'll go with FSU. I think they're going to get one somewhere, maybe two. Maybe it's tomorrow in Tallahassee. SEC game is up next. Tennessee 2-2, 0-1 with their loss last week at Florida. Tennessee travels to Missouri. I'll lead off. This is a high noon game on the SEC network. Boy, Drinkwitz, the head coach at Missouri, he's run his mouth a little bit, and he hadn't backed it up. He ran his mouth about why are we going to Boston College, and they lost that game.
Close game, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to take Tennessee on the road. I'm going to go ahead and take Tennessee. And, guys, I don't think Tennessee's any great shakes, but I like what I saw Saturday. Tennessee looked organized. They looked like they knew what they were doing compared to Tennessee of the last few years. Didn't look like they knew what they were doing. I'm going to take Tennessee to get a road win, Coach Spurrier, at Missouri.
I'm going to go with Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw what Drinkwitz said about playing at Boston College. Shane, maybe I should have said that when we went to Syracuse 30 years ago, 91. I should have said, what the heck we doing going up there? That was our only loss of the season. You know, if we'd played, Wake Forest or some down the line team, that team would have had a chance to go 11-0. But that was our only loss of the regular season was the Syracuse game.
Let's blame that on Shane.
So, no, we're going to blame it on the schedule maker, whoever he was. But, I'm going to take Missouri at home against Tennessee.
Okay. Shane, break the tie here. You going Missouri at home or Tennessee getting a big win on the road?
I like Missouri at home. I like their quarterback a lot. I think he plays well this week.
Connor Basilick. So a couple Missouris. I will take a Tennessee. A really good game out of the ACC that'll get buried. These are basketball schools that don't get enough publicity. Louisville, 3-1. Remember, Louisville lost their opening game on Labor Day night. Ole Miss beat them up pretty good, but I think we all think Ole Miss is pretty good now. Louisville, 3-1, 1-0 in conference play. At Wake Forest, 4-0, 2-0 in conference play. Coach Spurrier, I'll let you lead off this tough ACC game. 12:30 tomorrow, ESPN 3. How about that?
Yeah, I'm going with Wake Forest at home. I read somewhere one writer said they've got a good chance to win 10 or more games this year. Wake Forest, the Demon Deeks. I really like their coach there, Clausen. And they got a good-looking team. I'll go with the Demon Deacons.
They've got Shane Matthews, you're next. They've got Hartman, who's been there about 12 years playing quarterback. Clausen, his MO is he's a redshirt everybody guy. His theory is, I'm not going to get the best players probably at Wake Forest, but his theory is, Shane, and you probably know this, 22 and 23-year-old men sometimes can rough up 19-year-old and 20-year-old young men. Shane, this should be a real good game.
Yeah, it should be a track meet. It'd be fun to watch, but I like the way Wake Forest is playing. Their quarterback's playing at a high level. As you said, it seems like he's been there forever.
Yeah.
I like Wake at home.
I'm going to go Wake as well across the board. Louisville's got a pretty good team, and their quarterback can get loose and cause problems a lot of times. Cunningham, he's been there a long time. SEC game, Coach, I'll let you lead this one off, Coach Spurrier. Mississippi State, 2-2, 0-1 in conference play after losing to LSU at home last week. Mississippi State takes it on the road to face a battered, bruised, ego-hurting Texas A&M team, 3-1, 0-1, 7 o'clock SEC Network. The Bulldogs at the Aggies. How do you see it, Coach?
I'm going to take Mississippi State. I think they're going to win a 17-14 game, something like that. A&M doesn't score a lot right now. Their starting quarterback, I think, still hurt, isn't he?
Yes.
So Mississippi State, if they can just play a clean game, make your short field goals or whatever, take care of the ball, and don't give them anything, then I think Mississippi State can pull out a low-scoring game.
Shane, you and I both loved A&M going into the year. I hate to say one player, one injury, but, man, losing their starting quarterback so early on really a brand-new offense. They needed that quarterback, Haynes King, to get in there and get the offense calmed down. We got hurt right out of the gate. A&M's reeling. That was an ugly performance against a fired-up Arkansas team last Saturday. How do you see this game, Shane?
Yeah, I think it's going to be low scoring, probably boring to watch, but I
Yeah.
think A&M's going to win the game somehow, being at home. I just feel like they got way too much talent. They've been extremely disappointing in my opinion, but I think A&M wins.
I'm with you too. I love 4 or 5 of their offensive skill players, but having a backup quarterback that's really struggling has real limited Jimbo, and I hate to see those backs and that tight end and all-purpose guy. They all seem like they're getting wasted. I'm going to go A&M as well. Coach will let you go out there on your own with Mississippi State. I agree with Shane. I think it'll be a low-scoring game. How good is the schedule, Shane Matthews? I'll let you lead this game off. This is how good the schedule is tomorrow and the SEC schedule. When Auburn is at LSU, and that's the 4th best game in the SEC, that means you got a hell of a week going on. 9 o'clock, ESPN, late game from the Bayou. Auburn, 3-1, reeling a little bit. Internally, it seems like the program's kind of wobbling a little bit, Shane. Auburn 3-1 at 3-1 LSU. LSU has righted the ship a little bit. How do you see it?
I'm going to go with an upset here. I think Auburn's going to win the game. I think, I don't know what's going on at Auburn, but
Auburn.
I feel like they're pretty solid defensively, and I think they can control the line of scrimmage against LSU, and I think they find a way to win the game.
Well, that'd be a big win for Auburn. Obviously, Harson's in his first year, but the student section coach. I'm going to go with LSU though. I'm going to go against Shane and go with LSU. Coach, last week at home, the student section at Auburn is chanting for the backup quarterback against Bo Nix, and obviously Nix's father and mother in the stands. There's a little bit of wobbly stuff going on. Auburn might be benefiting from going on the road and getting away from Auburn a little bit, but Auburn at LSU, 9 o'clock kick Eastern. On the Bayou. How do you see it?
Yeah, in fact, Auburn's quarterback's the kid that came from LSU.
Finley.
Finley, yeah.
Yes.
So he's playing against his old teammates, which is not unusual nowadays in college football. But I'll go with the home team, LSU. Either team obviously can win, but because they're at home, I'll go with LSU.
Big game, national game, 2:30 NBC ball game. Notre Dame is at home 4-0. They are hosting Cincinnati. This is the put up or shut up game for Cincinnati. Notre Dame has burnt me all year. I'm going with Cincinnati. Shane, how do you see the game that should get more hype than it is probably, but it's getting buried with all these good games?
Well, this is the game for Cincinnati. The
Really
rest
is.
of their games the rest of the year are horrible. I want Cincinnati to win, but I feel like Notre Dame has the luck of the Irish so far this year, and I feel like Notre Dame's going to win it. I don't like that pick, but I'm going to take the Irish at home.
Boy, Notre Dame, I've went against them 2 or 3 times. Coach, they're still 4-0 at home somehow, some way. Cincinnati, big game for them, but they're the road team.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Cincinnati. It is the game of the 10, 20 years for Cincinnati.
Program probably, yeah.
They're at an all-time sky high. Whether or not they can beat them, who knows? But if they can beat Notre Dame, they got a chance to go undefeated, it seems.
So
should be a heck of a game. Looking forward to watching that one.
2:30 NBC, Notre Dame's at home hosting Cincinnati, both teams undefeated. We wrap it up with 3 big SEC ball games tomorrow, high noon. Arkansas, one of the, if not the darling of college football early in the season. Arkansas has been one of the great stories. The Razorbacks 4-0, 1-0 in conference play at Georgia. Sam Pittman, the former line coach at Georgia. The Dogs 4-0, 2-0 in conference. Georgia at home. High noon kickoff tomorrow, ESPN. I want to pick Arkansas so bad, but I just can't see the fourth quarter getting away from Georgia. I'm gonna lead us off, guys, and I'm going with Georgia in a physical game in Athens. Coach, how do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Georgia. I mean, it's hard to pick. I think they're 18-point favorites or something like that. That's ridiculous, I think. But I think it'll be a low-scoring game, and Georgia probably win 24-10 or something like that.
Somewhere in there. Shane, give us a synopsis on how you see it playing out and who wins. Georgia hosting Arkansas.
Well, it's going to be entertaining, and I love the Arkansas story. They've done a tremendous job. I don't know. I mean, we'll see, but I see like a 35-10 type game for some reason. I think Georgia's going to score defensively. I think they're going to force Arkansas to throw the football. I think they can control the line of scrimmage, but it's going to be whoever wins the battle of the trenches in these two teams is going to win the game. But I think Georgia's just got too much talent.
Shane, that game you just described was what happened last year. Remember, they played last year in Fayetteville, and the first quarter and a half, 2 quarters, it's a good game. It was a hard-fought game, and Georgia just kind of squeezed them, forced them to try and throw it, and they started picking off passes. So we all like Georgia in the big SEC game.
Wasn't that the game where they started the 5-star quarterback and benched him after about 2 series, and then Stetson Bennett came in?
Yes, DeJuan Mathis or whatever. Or was it Mathis?
He couldn't.
Yeah,
he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
He was terrible. And then some guy named Stetson Bennett came in and played pretty well and saved the day, didn't he?
Yeah, it was Arkansas game. You're right.
Yeah, early. 3:30 CBS, the big SEC game at 3:30, finds Ole Miss coming off an off week, by the way. Lane Kiffin's had an off week. 3-0 are the Rebels at Alabama. 4-0, 1-0. Alabama 1-0 in conference play. Coach Spurrier, trendy pick to say Ole Miss has got too much firepower. Tough pick. Alabama at home. They're still undefeated. I know they've shown some vulnerability. Where do you go? Ole Miss at Alabama, Coach?
Well, until somebody beats Alabama, I guess I'm more keep picking the Tide. Alabama obviously got the best players in the country according to the recruiting rankings, and they've also tapped into the portal. They got guys come over to help them out also. So I'll say Alabama wins it.
Shane, should be an entertaining game.
Well,
3:30 CBS tomorrow. Ole Miss at Alabama.
Yeah, you're silly to pick against Bama, but I'm going to. I'm going to pick my mom and dad's alma mater. I'm going to take the Ole Miss Rebels in a huge, huge upset. I watched Alabama getting pushed around the line of scrimmage. You know, I think people forget Ole Miss led the conference in rushing last year. I think they're just as good. I think their defense, we'll find out how good their defense is. It's a little bit better. But Kiffin and Levy, the guy that calls the plays, that offense has given Saban problems. I think Matt Corral, this will be like his Heisman-type moment. I think Ole Miss wins.
Ole Miss brings all those backs back as well. That Ely and Connor, Snoop Connor, and Parrish and those guys. All those running backs are back that led the SEC. I'm going to ride with Shane. I'm going Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss finds the end zone 5 or 6 times. I think Ole Miss I'm not sure Alabama's going to find the end zone 6 times.
A year or two ago, would you have ever thought you'd pick Ole Miss to beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa?
Never.
Times have changed,
Never.
I guess. But
Coach, you're going to ride.
Yeah, they're capable. Ole Miss is capable. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
it would be a huge upset.
Okay, our last game here on the Safe Harbor Seafood Picks of the week. We find ourselves going to Lexington, Kentucky, at home, undefeated, 4-0 overall, 2-0 in conference play already. Florida comes in 3-1, the only loss to Alabama overall, and of course 1-1 in conference play. Coach Spurrier, I'll let you. You've played and coached in this game. Florida, off of 2 really nice performances by Emory Jones and Florida as a whole, really, after the first quarter against Alabama, Florida has looked as good as anybody I've seen in the country. Gators on the road, 6 o'clock, awkward little time, 5 o'clock local, 6 o'clock kickoff, ESPN, Florida at Kentucky. How do you see it, Coach?
Oh, I see the Gators winning number 36 out of 37, something like that. I think we've only lost 1 in the last 35, 6 years, something like that. But anyway, I think Kentucky's a pretty good team, but they've not beaten, I don't think, a real good team yet. So I think the Gators are ready to play, and if we're ready to play, we're a better team.
Coach Spurrier says Florida. Shane, I guess the real nightmare would be Kentucky has a fourth quarter lead and they just lean on Florida with that offensive line they always seem to have, and Rodriguez, the backs, very physical. Florida tomorrow on the road, 6 o'clock at Lexington. How do you see it, Coach? Or Shane?
I like the Gators big, Terry. I think Kentucky's got a lot of love, but you know, in the past, I would be concerned about their offensive line and running the football on us. But with our acquisitions from Auburn and Penn State, I really like how our defense looks on the defensive line. I think Florida, if we can weather the storm, you know, first quarter, you know, it wouldn't shock me with the guy from the Rams coming out with some trickery. But I think we're going to win big.
Yeah, that Liam Cohen, I believe is his name, the first-year OC at Kentucky by way of the NFL. I'm with you too. I'm going to go Florida here, and good start though. That Kentucky crowd, as I understand it, you know, they've renovated a few years ago. That's a pretty nasty crowd now in Lexington, particularly at night when they get going. They've been good in football the last 4 or 5 years. that crowd gets going. It's the last thing Florida needs.
Yeah, South Carolina held Kentucky to 16
Yeah.
points last week. So all that NFL coaching and all that
didn't do a whole lot, did it?
It didn't phase the Gamecocks, and hopefully it's not going to phase us.
Bad trend that Florida needs to snap, and Shane will let you go, and Coach will get out of here. Florida, 3 total turnovers forced in 4 games. Florida needs to start handing the ball to their offense. They need to get some turnovers. Florida hasn't turned the ball over. Didn't get any against, I don't think, Alabama, and none against Tennessee. Right? No turnovers. Florida needs to turn the ball.
Yeah, I know we dropped that one interception. It
Brenton Cox.
could have been huge. Yeah.
All right, Shaner, you feel good about your picks? 12 of them.
Yep, feel pretty good.
All right.
I'll let you know Sunday how I feel about mine.
Coach will let us know. Shane, by the way, leads with 32 correct. I'm at 30, and Coach is at 29, so we are bunched up. And we got a lot different. We got a lot of different ones here.
good.
And so something's going to happen. Shane, thanks so much for your time. We'll let you go. Coach Spurrier, we'll also let you go here as we come to break. Last thoughts. Boy, the games look good.
Yeah, it'll be fun watching a lot of games on TV this week. And our Jags, I thought, had one last night, Terry. That was disappointing that since he came back and won that thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, they'll get a win here soon.
You and I talked before the show. Obviously, I was more Miami than NFL, but I watched a lot of both of those games. One, I thought just eyeball test that the Jags passed. They've looked better each week, and I know you got to win games. I get that, but the Jaguars, they've gotten better. I think that's a key, right? Am I saying that right? They're getting better.
Yeah, all those teams are so even.
Yeah.
I really think so. Some are obviously a little bit better than the others. But, you got to make plays, score touchdowns instead of kick field goals, that kind of thing. But the Jags are not bad. They're going to get one soon.
Some quick news and notes, and we will officially get out of here, Evan, I promise. Coach, some news and notes real quick. How about this? Auburn at LSU tomorrow night. Auburn has not won in Baton Rouge since 1999. Isn't that hard to believe? Auburn hasn't gone to LSU and won since 99. Hard to believe. Interesting stat. You mentioned it. TJ Finley last year got a couple of starts for LSU, including, I think he led a big beatdown on South Carolina at night, and you thought he was great. Then he stunk the place up, transferred. Finley might get the start now for Auburn against LSU tomorrow. That could happen.
That easily could happen, and it probably is going to happen. They tried to ask the Auburn coach, Harsin. He didn't like the question for some reason.
Yeah.
So we don't know who's going to start. I guess we'll find out about, 9 o'clock Saturday night.
9 o'clock kickoff. LSU, Coach, you've played against them as a player, as a coach. Where in the world they've done it again? They always find these receivers, Jamar Chase and Landry and Odell Beckham. Kayshon Boutte is their lead guy now, their lead receiver. He's got 8 touchdown catches in 4 games. 8 in 4 games. He's got to be leading the Blitnikoff. Emory Jones, I don't know if people realize, Emory Jones has rushed for 375. He's on pace for a 1,000-yard rushing season. Emory Jones. Can he run it as much as he has? Some are called, some are reads, some are scrambles. Does that concern you? Is he running too much?
No, that's
his
what
game, right?
Yeah, that's what he does, and he knows how to protect himself. He doesn't go down there and stand up, let about 3 of them hit him at the same time. He gets all he can, get down. If he's running toward the boundary, he runs out of bounds. He doesn't duck his shoulder and try to jam it into some guy. So,
and you don't want to take that away from him, right?
I think he's built a little bit like a running back.
Yes, he is.
Who's also a very good passer, and his passing has really improved now as the season has gone. They're working with him, using his legs a little bit more in throwing the ball and timing and all that kind of stuff.
Well, he's looked good, hasn't he?
Emory has improved. He has
is.
improved from the first week to now, and if he keeps going like that, Anthony Richardson, he might just keep doing that backflip before the game. But I hope I'd like to see him with the ball. Anthony, man, he can go and I don't know, maybe move him to wide receiver and throw him a quick screen about 5 times a game and let him run all over the place.
That way you got them both on the field.
But he is a talent. Yeah, that's. I hope his hamstring's okay and he can get the ball in his hands because he is dynamite when he's got it.
He really is. A final couple things here before we wrap it up on a Friday edition of College Sports Today. Ugly stat of the week. We got it on earlier. FSU, hate to rub salt in the wounds for FSU. They are one of only 7 winless teams in college football. There's like 130 teams out there. 7 of them haven't gotten a win. FSU is one of them. UMass is one of them also, and they play them later in the year. An ugly game of the weekend. Vanderbilt will host UConn. Ooh, that's a tough one. 2 teams really scuffling. Vanderbilt hosting UConn. So there you have it. Coach, that'll do it. You happy with your picks?
I think so. I think I'm happy with them, but
we'll see Sunday.
I'll know a lot more come Sunday. Yeah.
On Sunday. That'll wrap it up. I want to thank Shane Matthews for calling in his picks on our Safe Harbor Seafood Picks of the Week. And, of course, as always, we couldn't make the show happen without our great producer, Evan Miller. Thank you very much, Evan, for all you do. And our great sponsors. We'll step aside. Remember, Big Ten game tonight, Iowa, Maryland. Real watchable game tonight at 8 o'clock, and then a great slate tomorrow all day and night. Week 5, college football. Looks like it's going to be a good one. For the gang, I'm Terry Norvelle. We'll get together Monday for the next edition of College Sports Today.